Yeah, Ravi and Karen, by the looks of it, you really can tell that this was a shooting scene less than a day ago. Many people, as you can see, are out enjoying Millennium Park, but for many others, after last night's chaos, they're left concerned about their safety. Disorder in downtown Chicago.
Guys, I need you to maintain your head, keep it frequency clear.
With call after call coming in.
They locking y'all kids up.
Take a deep breather.
Got a girl in
Have a
custody.
person shot.
Officers seen trying to bring calm to the loop as droves of young people flooded the streets around Millennium Park.
Who do these kids go home to at night? Who are their parents?
That's when Paul Nienhuis says he left moments before gunfire was heard near the beam. That's where police say 16-year-old Shondell Holiday was shot in his chest and later died. A short time later,
Accident, state another one shot.
police say two underage boys shot into a crowd on State Street, striking two men and leaving them recovering at the hospital.
They were just standing, talking randomly, and all of a sudden they started shooting.
The gunfire sending Zarnab Salim, who lives nearby, running for her life.
It's going out of control, I would say. Every day I hear this, but this time I saw it and I felt it, and it's so scary.
Less than 24 hours later, police on horses were patrolling Millennium Park, but while traces of the scene are wiped away, images of the chaos, for some, are hard to erase.
It's just like a little iffy 50-50 chance where I could be safe or not be safe.
And now police say a 17-year-old was arrested in connection to this deadly shooting that happened here, and charges are pending. Now, we spoke with a teenager who doesn't want to be identified, but he says he was here last night. He says these gatherings are called trends. That's when he says a large crowd of young people come to a specific location to, quote,
A Chicago 911 dispatcher on the front lines of the crime crisis is fed up with the city's lawlessness, and he is slamming Mayor Lori Lightfoot's, quote, empty promises and calling on Chicago voters to clean house as crime skyrockets 35% compared to last year. That Chicago dispatcher, Keith Thornton Jr., joins me now. Keith, good morning to you. It is great to have you on. You know, being a 911 dispatcher, you are the first person to hear about all of the crimes that are taking place across New York City. Can you put into words what the situation is like in Chicago when it comes to crime?
Absolutely. Good morning, Carly. Everything I say here has to be me and my voice only, nothing to do with my position or title in Chicago. And what I will say with my position as a 911 dispatcher is, you're putting everything together. Police, fire, EMS, emergency management, period. And what I've learned while being behind that council and dispatching amongst many of my other colleagues is it's crazy here in Chicago. It's done. The city is done. If we don't get new people within these positions to lead this city is done.
97 children have been shot in Chicago so far this year. One of them is Shondell Holiday. He was murdered over the weekend, and I was reading that he recently told his teacher that if he makes it to 21 years old, he wanted to open a music studio. And then his teacher said, "Why would you phrase it like that? Make it to 21?" He said, "Well, in Chicago, things happen to kids all the time." He didn't even make it to 17 years old. And I'm sure that's why you say Chicago is in a death spiral and has quickly turned into a city that caters strictly to criminals who target the innocent.
Absolutely. The kid was 17 years old, right at the Millennium Park, which is a huge site for tourists to come to and people to enjoy themselves at the beam, and he loses his life there. And meanwhile, there's hundreds of officers down there. There's just no coordination and no structure, no leadership. The mayor wasn't even in town for the weekend. And it just went skyrocket. Like the crime out of the, downtown was off the chain. Kids running around everywhere, dancing in the street, shots fired, officer needs help. There was no structure, no organization, and it's all because of the mayor and her cronies who support her and who are right underneath her in her administration.
So let's get to solutions. What needs to happen to fix this?
We need to put someone in office who, number one, is going to support their officers. And, officers do bad things. Get rid of those guys, But the mass majority of officers are wonderful people. They do their job, but allow these guys to go out there and do their jobs and arrest these people. We also need to get Kim Foxx out of office right here within Cook County. It's like Crook County with her. She's allowing these people to come in over and over and over again after the officers are doing their jobs and locking them up. And they're right back on the streets doing it the next day. Last week, we had a carjacking suspect take off And the mayor with her policies, the officers are not allowed to pursue these guys. Well, that guy came right back around and shot and killed someone who was, not killed him, but he's fighting for his life now. So it's just horrible right here within Chicago.
You know, you were one of the dispatchers on duty when 2 police officers were shot. One of them was Ella French, who later died. And I'm sure one of the reasons you're speaking out is because you never want to be in a situation like that again.
Absolutely, and I promise, Ella, and God rest her soul, I am going to continue to speak out because of her brothers and sisters out there in blue, and I will not stop, I will not be intimidated, and I will continue doing what I feel is the right thing to do, and that's supporting my city. I love Chicago. Many people who are here because they love it. This is where we come from, but the people who are leading the city, they're not leading anything. They're leading us right down to death.